Dear students, greetings and warm welcome to the machine drawing topic. We are in week 7, lecture 1. The topic of today is bearings. Dear students, the lecture learning outcome after completion of this lecture, you will be able to know the importance of bearing, functions, bearing system, and classification of bearings. Today, we are going to discuss about the functions of bearing. What is a bearing? A bearing is a mechanical part that can be used in all the rotating elements where we reduce the friction. Like this is called as bread and butter of industry. So they are used in all sort of machines. Like this is one of the picture for understanding what is a bearing is. We have already seen it in fidget spinner, right? We used to see it in bicycles. We used to see it in sewing machines, pulleys, shaft and hub assemblies. Okay, so bearings are parts that assist objects rotation. They support shaft that rotates inside the machinery. Machines that use bearings includes automobiles, airplanes, electronic generators, and so on. They are even used in household applications like refrigerators, vacuum cleaners, and air conditioners. Dear students, bearings support the rotating shafts of wheels, gears, turbines, rotors, etc. in those machines, allowing them to rotate more smoothly. As I, as I said, this will reduce the frictional force between the moving elements. They fulfill the following two major functions. Right? The function 1. It will reduce friction and make rotation more smooth. Function 2. Protect the parts that support the rotation and maintain correct position of the rotating shaft. Dear student, the first function, that is reduce friction and make the rotation more smooth. So here friction is bound to occur between two rotating shaft and part that support the rotation. Bearings are used between these two components and the bearings serve to reduce the friction and allow for smoother rotation. So this cuts down the amount of energy consumption and the single most important function of this is the single most important function of bearings. Then coming to the next, protecting the part and support the rotation. Large amount of force is needed between the rotating shaft and the part that supports the rotation. The function of preventing damage from the forces acting on the parts and the supports of rotation, maintaining the correct position of rotating shaft. This function of bearings is what allows us to use more machines over and over again for extended period of time, like fans, rotor systems, motors. Okay, these are some examples. Coming to the next slide, bearings are categorized into two categories. One is sliding contact bearing, another one is rolling contact bearing or anti-friction bearing. Sliding contact bearings are those in which the rotating shaft has a sliding contact with the bearing and the friction is relatively high. one slides over the other. Okay, hence these bearings require more lubrication. Like we could able to see it on a lathe bed. According to the direction in which the bearing is loaded, these bearings are further classified as journal bearings, crust bearings. Okay, journal bearing. This is a good example of journal bearing, a shaft being rotating in a journal. Okay, we call it as journal. Thrust forces are being acting exactly at the center. So when the load on the bearing is perpendicular to the shaft axis, the bearing is known as journal bearing. You can see here the load is acting perpendicular to the axis of shaft. So the term journal refers to the part of the shaft which is in contact with the bearing. This is a sliding contact journal bearing. So I'll show you the solid journal bearing now. This is the simplest among the journal bearings, usually made of cast iron. This consists of a cylindrical block with a rectangular base. The hole in the cylinder block supports the shaft and holes. These are used for bolting down the bearing. A hole provided at the top used for introducing lubricant into the bearing. We could able to see a lubrication hole is being provided here. This is solid journal bearing, and its representation will be like this: front view and its top view. We are going to draw this on our drawing sheets in the regular practice hours. Dear students, I'd like to show you the bushed journal bearing. The bushed, this bearing consists of mainly two parts. One is body and the bush. The body is usually made of cast iron and bush is made of soft materials such as brass, bronze or gunmetal. Okay, the bush is fitted into the body like this, preventing relative axial and rotary motion. The bush will be fitted. This is called press fit, and this arrangement will renew the bearing. And the oil hole is provided here, having a diameter of 3.5 mm, countersunk at 45 degrees, providing the running oil into the bush. So this is the diagram for pedestal bearing. Another type of bearing, this is called as pedestal bearing. We are going to draw this one also in our regular practice. Kindly observe the picture. We can pass it and understand the picture. Bush will be provided here. It has been found, bolts have been made over here. It is an integral part of two parts, top and bottom. So the next one is collar thrust bearing, generally used to support horizontal shafts like this. It will be having single collar or multi collars. Okay. This one is a single collar thrust bearing. This is a multi collar thrust bearing. Another example is pivot or footstep bearing. This bearing is used to support vertical shafts. Okay. It will take the radial loads. The bush may be fitted into the main body sometimes. So next comes the reflection spot. In order to understand or in order to know what you understood from the previous slides, here is a question. I'm giving a time of 15 seconds to answer this question. Sketch the conventional representation of the bearing. So I'm providing you some time of 15 seconds. Think, from the past lectures, we had an opportunity to know the conventional representation of a bearing. Time is up. This is the answer. This is the normal representation of bearing, and the right side one is conventional representation with cross marks. So this is all to avoid the drawing time, conventional drawing time. Instead of drawing all these things, we just represent the bearing with this cross symbol with the same dimensions. Okay. So coming to the lecture learning problems. So here is a question. Draw the sectional front view and top view of radial footstep bearing with radial and thrust ball bearings suitable for supporting a shaft of diameter 60 mm. You'll be given a question in two lines. Okay, you may have to think of the shaft diameter and draw this picture into 2D. This picture will not be given in the exam, but you are supposed to draw this picture assuming the dimensions. Okay, so the final answer will be like this. This can be done in our regular practice hour. Draw the sectional front view and view from the top. This is the final picture. We are going to draw it on sheet. Kindly observe. Right, we start drawing from the front view. This is the first angle projection, and this one is top view. Is it fine? I hope you enjoyed this session. More practice makes you better. Okay, do practice in the regular class hours. Right, happy learning. Thank you all for sparing your valuable time. Thank you so much.